Welcome to the Stars Aligned Dramas and Dreams podcast, where the infinite sky meets the starry world of dramas. We're your guides through the cosmos, from heart-stopping queer love stories to straight dramas of unexpected love.
And every unforgettable moment in between that make us swoon, laugh, and cry. And, of course, we'll sprinkle in a little stardust along the way.
I'm Nyxi.
I'm Cyrus.
Each week, we'll explore the stellar journey of love, identity, and connection, one drama and one dream at a time.
So, gather your stardust, find your spot under the stars, and let's dive in.
This week, we're casting our gaze upon remakes, letting the stars guide us through the exciting and vast world it holds.
To start our exploration, we need to understand one thing. What are remakes and why do they matter? For the sake of our conversation in this episode, we are classifying a remake in the sense of it is a show that is based off of another show, not based off of a novel, a manga, anything that transcends from physical media into digital. We're not considering for this episode.
These are remakes of other shows that have already been adapted from a novel or that has already been taken from something, or strictly from another drama, because I think there have been a few of those that just take from other dramas. There's also that. This matters because, one, maybe in the future we want to do a natural adaptation and talk about what it's like to compare like a novel form to a series. But in this case, we want to talk about when you watch something that gets remade in the same form of media and how it's maybe either told almost identical or reimagined.
Yeah. And I think it's very fun to watch a show that like you just love, just intrinsically, just from it's the whatever version you watch first, and coming to learn that oh, there's this other show that is based on this, and I get to experience it again, but differently, which is a very special experience. I think it also highlights a lot of creativity when, being able to completely remake a story with enough of similarities for it to have the same feeling, but being able to tweak it to be able to tell it anew. Very fun. Very cool.
I love originality, but I am a sucker, and especially if it transcends across different countries, seeing how one material, one drama, is then taken and placed into another country and made into another drama, and seeing the similarity and differences, which is crazy because there are quite a few people who actually dislike remakes because of this exact reason. Because there are a lot of people who are like, I like original. I don't want to see someone else take it and possibly mess it up or whatnot. And that's fair. That is a valid point to not like remakes. But on a personal level, I like remakes because I like to see the differences and I like to see what they end up doing with it.
Since we now understand the basics, let's break down the constellation of remakes, mapping out the stars that connect to reveal the deeper layers of meaning we're exploring.
To navigate this constellation, we'll be focusing on how parallel portrayals, looser reimaginings, and our personal wishlist impact remakes.
We start our exploration with parallel portrayals, where we'll examine the heart of remakes and explore how it's essential to understanding them. I feel like these are more rare because,
to a certain degree,
it is less common for remakes to be kind of more of a beat for beat, kind of that you're just reshooting. Because a lot of times they will try to change aspects to differentiate from the original, but they still do exist. There are tighter knit, closer to the original type of remakes.
They're more on beat than what we have to talk about for reimagining ones.
Yes.
So for example, some of the remakes, and this has been a while, and so I will say I know for a fact there are differences because like I said, you can't quite take a series and redo it, remake it without essentially changing things, because a lot of the times it's kind of what happens with remakes. They kind of rechange it, like I said, like we said to the other ones, reimagine it. But in this sense, something that I think was was reimagined, but more on beat than what, like I said, we have to say on this next section that follows after this one would be, and like I said, it's been a good while, would have to be like I don't know what you want to call the franchise essentially, but the They Kissed Again franchise, which is which ironically have never seen the original, but that is it's what sparked my entire drama history that I have now. But that's Playful Kiss, Mischievous Kiss season 1 and 2. That's the movie, I don't forgot what they named it, which was a Taiwanese one. That's it all started with a kiss. Actually I said They Kissed Again, but technically that's season 2 of it started
Fall in
it
Love
all
at
started with a
First Kiss
kiss.
was the movie title.
Yeah, that one. But yeah, and it is a pretty big one. But from what I remember, and I say that it's going to be a loosely remember because like these are like early dramas for me, like extremely early ones that I've seen, like considering Playful Kiss was my first drama I ever watched. But they were pretty on beat to the point that they're the reason why I like remakes, because I remember purposely when I found out there were ones, like I think Mischievous Kiss came out, I think after Playful Kiss for sure, because I think I remember at least season 2 coming out and like actually like coming out as I was watching the other ones. And what I loved was watching these and like being able to like see what they kept because it was such a fundamental thing to this story versus some of the changes they made, which usually in these weren't as drastic as some things I've seen. So they fairly well were, to a certain extent, pretty beat to beat, minus the fact that like these were done across different countries, so they had to adapt to certain things. Like maybe it's a religion thing. I don't remember these did. I don't think these did at all. But like some remakes have to like adapt to like maybe a religion thing. Maybe there's certain behaviors or certain like things that are very different across countries. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so those are that I can think of are a pretty decent example where the remake is pretty similar to like I said, a better degree than others. Like you said, it is, now that I'm thinking about it, it is a little harder to pull out remakes due to the fact that they always tend to be more different than what's the original is. Because they purposely are trying to like adapt it into a different, or remake it into a different version of itself.
Yeah.
And may that be in the same country or a different one, because that has happened both ways. There's another one where it was originally a Chinese series. I think, was it called like You Were So Beautiful or just So Beautiful? I don't remember. I watched the original one and I started the Korean one that they made, which I believe starred, was it Johan, if I remember correctly, from We or We I? But I didn't finish that series. But I do think from what I had, as far as I had gotten into the series, if that makes sense, it was pretty relatively accurate to the Chinese one. I just don't know how it ended in terms of if it played out or not the same. But it's like I said, but from memory, my memory serves me right for what I had seen of that one. It was much more on point than others.
I can believe that.
A lot of times I feel like unless they're purposely aiming for like a reimagined version of it, when countries themselves tend to pick up one from another country, unless it's a religion thing or it's a like custom thing, it tends to be relatively similar. Like, even though I will argue and be like, there are 100% several difference in Olsen's Love Thailand to the original one, it's still pretty more on point. Like, we're not changing any major concept other than maybe the mom became the daughter, not mom, sorry, the wife, yeah, became a daughter in this one. We lost a couple relationship, whatnot, in Ocean's Love Thailand versus the original one, and so there are differences for sure, but the main concept of it still stays the same. Therefore, I feel like it still kind of fits this one than some of the later ones.
Nyxi did homework for this episode.
I don't know if you want to say I did homework or when I realized we were going to do a remake one because of Ocean's Love Thailand and that was the theme we were going to go run with, I immediately started watching more remakes.
Homework.
Which is, I didn't need to do. I've already seen a lot of remakes. And I think Cyrus is finding out.
I should have done that.
You should have. But you didn't.
No.
So I think I technically should have watched 3, but I ended up only watching 2 remakes. And that only reason I didn't give me 3 is because I got distracted because I had to watch the original before I let myself watch the remake, which I ironically have not got to watch the remake. And that was Addicted, to be able to watch Addicted to Heroin. So I did not get to watch the Thai version. But I have my other 2 series, and I guess I don't know. I want to say that this series falls more under the next category, but maybe that's because I don't remember its original one very clearly. But I have seen the original one. I want to preference that. It's just been so long to the point that it took me like 2 or 3 episodes in to realize it was even a remake. Because I actually started this one, I think, before the dive in to me watching remakes. It just ended up being a remake. And that was Faceless Love. It's supposed to be a remake of Rich Man, Poor Woman.
Oh, yeah.
But I was going to say it belonged in the next category. But maybe it wasn't as vastly different as I felt like it was. It might have been more on point than I remember. I do remember there being some differences enough that I was like, this feels very different from the original one. With that being said, we shift orbits and we find ourselves at looser reimaginings. This new path takes us deeper into remakes, uncovering hidden connections and unfolding new layers. To be fair, every remake, for the most part, that's made kind of straddles both of these topics, both of these segments, because they hit beat by beat. Because a remake essentially almost always, in order for it to be considered a remake, has to hit certain important plot elements to be considered that way. And so all of them do that. And like I said before, some of these previous ones could have also followed under here because there's the differences that also are reimagined in order to fit whatever, maybe country or new like elements they're trying to go for, that makes it kind of its own reimagining. But in this one, it is dawned on me a little bit that I can't remember any more but one specifically right now on top of my head, unless another one comes to me while we're talking. But there is one particular one that kind of sparked this section, and that is when one takes an element of the original story, and while they do recreate it and you still get its bullet points, like its main story plots, but a certain
major element
is shifted,
is completely changed.
And I feel like that's cool. That to me is like what really makes it a reimagining situation. And that particularly is going to be the W Two Worlds Korean drama that has been remade, apparently, didn't know this until recently, to 2 countries, maybe more, and I just don't know. And that is both in Thailand and China. I have not seen the Chinese one, but I do know it's still based off of a comic one. So it still follows the same idea. But the Thailand one, it's a video game.
It is.
So it's a VR, virtual reality, and they completely shift it from being a webtoon situation where that she gets pulled into a webtoon and he also comes out of the webtoon. In this one, it shifts to it being she puts these glasses on and goes into a virtual reality world of his, and as well as she can't get out, same thing, shift emotion. So there's like still like that kiss thing where she tries to get out that one time, and so she's like, she slaps him, like she full on bitch slaps in front of everyone, does not spark his emotions, so she turns around and kisses him, and that sparks his emotion. Also exists in the Thailand one, but like we get a virtual reality sense instead of a comic book. Like to the point that even the way the characters carry themselves, like we're introduced to like the side characters, like the bodyguard and in the original one, it's a secretary also was supposed to be his partner as well. It just didn't play out, and they weren't even there in the story plot yet. And of course, it doesn't play out clearly. But we get introduced to them like very robotically at first until they break loose temporarily from their like from the controls of like what they called
Yeah.
the writers. They could write the story for the game. And so versus the webtoon, which for starters only involved 2 people really. That involved what's his name and the dad in W. It's been so long,
Angel?
don't remember. Where he kept he's the one that would go to the female lead and be asking for help. Not King Chol.
Yeah.
King Chol's the character. Remember that's the male lead. King Chol was the character. No, I'm talking about the creator and his partner that would do like the backgrounds and
Oh,
stuff like that.
yeah.
Because remember, he would take over those. But yeah,
I don't have
in
that
that
name.
one, it was like a 2-person job almost. Maybe they had a few more people, but I don't remember.
It was like
In
2.
the video game one, you have like it's a co-founding situation. It's like we've got writers, you've got programmers. It's like it's a whole thing. Programmers is really mainly just the dad and their cousin, which is essentially the equivalent to the one that worked with the dad in W. But then you've got the writers who are supposed to be the ones creating the storyline with the characters, and then at some point aren't able to create that story because, like, for example, the bodyguard, which is named Leo, and or the male lead, which his name was Akin. Emily, who was essentially the secretary, broke character, or at least the controls. They weren't able to connect, as what they call to connect, so they couldn't connect to the NPCs to control them. Especially Akin, the male lead. He's the one person I don't think they were ever able to control after the whole after the whole inciting incident happened and the man gets stabbed, found on the roof. So like that plays out pretty differently. So like but that was something that I admire about that remake, is that they were able to take this one where like was based on a webcomic situation, turn around, take that, keep most, not all, because they do modify some of them to fit the video game aspect. Because, like, for example, I don't believe, I'm going to spoil a little thing, just a little bit. Sorry, guys. Akin in the Taiwan ends up getting, like, a doppelganger, essentially. And so he ends up with another Akin. So we end up with 2 Akins at some point. I don't believe that ever happened in W. Not that I remember. I do remember we still had, like, the murder figure kind of thing, which does still exist in this one, just in a different form, different way that they play about it. But like for the most part, they take the aspects of W and then they turn around and they go, okay, using those aspects and keeping like a lot of the major story plots, they modified it to fit a video game concept, which I was kind of obsessed with. For starters, when I found out W even had a remake, I was ecstatic. Okay. Love W is one of my favorite Korean dramas even to this day. But 2, I'm even more devastated in myself because I knew and I remember when it came and appeared on Viki back in, I think it came out in 21 or something like that, or something. I don't
That
remember.
sounds right.
I remember it appearing on Viki. I think it does. I think so too. Came out. I remember seeing it and going, "This looks interesting," but I wasn't into those type of dramas. And I didn't read the synopsis. I just remember seeing like the cover for it and like switch on. Like I remember it being an existing show even when it came back into existence, now. And now I regret it because I didn't click on it to find out that it was just going to turn around and be a remake of W.
And like, I will say, W was like my first drama. We've talked about this before, so it holds like a very like special place to me personally. And this is so funny to me in hindsight. Just as a preference, I've only seen the first episode of the show. I haven't picked it back up. I need to, and I will. I just haven't gotten there yet. But
The only reason you watched the first episode is because I forced you to watch it when I was home for
yes.
a while.
So and like while like Nyxi was up, it was like one evening, and she was like, "I'm gonna show y'all something." Y'all being me and her mother, who has seen.
It was also, I think, her first drama.
Really, I didn't know that. That's fun.
I think it was the first one. Well, I think it was the first one I showed. It was either that one or was it Fall in Love with Me or something like that, which was a Taiwanese series. I don't remember. It's been so long, man.
The one that she's seen like 20 times at least.
Actually, she fell in love with the actor Aaron Yang, I believe, if I'm remembering his name correctly, who was the lead in that series. If I remember correctly, unless I'm mixing series up, which is also very possible because it's been a good while. Because or maybe it was Love Now. Now that I think about it, Aaron Yang might have been in Love Now and not in that. No, that's a different actor entirely. Wrong thing. Back up. Sorry. I think her first series was actually called Love Now, and then she turned around and watched. She got addicted to the actor from that series, and I cannot remember his name. I'm so sorry. And then turned around and found his, which also had the same female lead, so it was the same couple essentially. And what's I think called Love Creek something. I think it has 3 words to it. And then I think another series. So like those series, she just cycles around. I swear. She cycles around like the same, like 5 to maybe not even 10 series. I try to get her to watch more, but she doesn't. She actually watched Love is a Romance Book
Because
before
she
I
loved
did,
Which
which is a
Lee
shocker.
Jung-suk. We
I
all
love
love
Lee
Lee
Jung Suk,
Jung-suk.
but ironically, back when I came across him, I was in a bad phase of watching dramas and dropping them, and even though I loved his stuff, I ended up dropping a lot of his stuff, unfortunately, which is so bad because they were good series. Like, don't get me wrong, they were good. I think it was just my mentality. Sometimes it happens. I'll go through phases where I just can't keep watching series. I watched W, loved W, turned around, tried to watch, I think, Pinocchio. Did not finish Pinocchio. Turned around, tried to watch while we were sleeping, I think, which my mom has seen fully. Did not finish. And then for I think a drama challenge or something that you gave me, you picked Love is a Romance Book. Not you haven't even seen it. It was just like a list that I told you to pick. And you said you picked that one, and that happened to be one of the series that mom has seen that I haven't, because she explored a little bit occasionally. Like I
Very rarely.
Love Around.
There he goes.
That was it. Love Around, Love Now, and Love Clique something. That was the third one. So I take it back. Love Around is the series that I was obsessed with, that I showed her, that led her to watch Love Now and Love Clique, whatever. Which are 2 series that I have not seen. I've only watched the Love Around one. And I just can't believe I forgot that. Which ironically by stars, like Bii, like the Chinese actor, stars in Love Around.
Fun.
Yeah, I know. This is such a random rant. Sorry, guys. But yeah, no. Ironically, she jumped around a little bit, but like this woman, like just rewatches the same stuff over and over. And I try her most recent drama, and I feel like it says something because I think this came out in like what 23 at this point, or 22 at this point, was F4 Thailand, which I also have not finished, unfortunately. We started together, and then I think because of that, my mentality kept me from finishing it. My mom, on the other hand, binged the whole thing and has rewatched it. I know for a fact. But that is
the box set.
I bought her
this
the
show.
box set.
You did for Christmas. It was very cute.
I felt like because while she doesn't watch dramas nowhere near to my level, she still really much enjoys them occasionally. She only doesn't watch them because she has such a busy schedule, and so she does not get time to do. And she's not like me where I have to feel the need to make it fit somehow because I just love my dramas. Plus she's an adult, you know, she's a mom. So I'm saying she's a mom. She's married. She's got other responsibilities. I'm just a daughter who I have responsibilities, but I don't have like a husband. I don't have kids. I have a dog. That's my responsibility. That's pretty much as far as it goes.
Put respect on your son's name.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Anyways. And I feel like she deserved that box set. Though F4 Thailand, that's a remake on its own. I didn't even think about that.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Except for I don't think that one's different enough because like there's no major element that was changed, even though I've never fully finished it. Actually, ironically, I have never finished a single remake of that franchise. I've started, I think, every single one of them that I can recall, because I've started the Boys Over Flowers original one, which is the Korean one. I've started Meteor Garden.
You started Meteor Guardian, the Chinese one.
And I've started F4 Thailand, which is the Thai one. And I can't say I've started
Obviously.
it, but I desperately wanted to watch it. This one maybe could fall underneath here because we have a relatively side couple difference that I'm so obsessed with, and I'm so freaking mad that no one's finished subbing it. So if anyone catches this, please sub it. Or at least, I know someone who subbed up to episode 8. Episode 9 and 10 have not been
Yes.
subbed, and that is the Laos version
The Lao. Yes. Ugh.
of Boys Over Flowers. And I forgot what the Laos one's called. It might just be called Boys Over Flowers or F4 in general. I don't remember off the top of my head, but there is a Laos one where, like, unlike any of the others, where, so, like, in all the others, the friend group, the F4 group, they all go, like, I don't want to say separate ways because I don't know how it ends, but, like, they all, like, pairings. Like, I think F4 Thailand, they had pairings, right? Except for maybe one of them. I don't remember. I don't know how it ends. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's something there that happens that I don't remember. You know, maybe now I'm thinking about it. Was there any tension there? Probably not. I don't think so. I know Bright and Wynn's characters definitely have their pairings, but I don't know about the other two. No, definitely not, because Do played the other one, because Wynn's character would have had to be the character I need to talk about what happens in the Lao one to be those two character equivalents. So in the Lao one, while every other one's, I don't know what happens to two of the friends. We know one of the friends in the Thai one ends up with someone, which is Wynn's character. But in the Lao one, two of the friends in the friend group get together.
That would be a little gay.
It do be a little gay. And
Which we love.
would have been down for it had someone finished episode 9 and 10. Because, like, they're accessible on YouTube as of this podcast.
Just 2 more little episodes.
So maybe that one falls under here. Because we get queer representation that we did not really get so much in the others that I know of. I know we definitely didn't get in Chinese, and I doubt we got it in the Korean one because both of those countries are pretty conservative, especially around the time the Korean one was made. Korean one's gotten better. Chinese one, 100%, probably did not really happen, though maybe around the time we could have been a little bit more lenient with censorship, but I doubt it. Especially for how its popularity, I highly doubt it. And then the Thailand one could have, and I think we had maybe some potential jail thing maybe going on. Did not get that far to know where it went, but I think there was something going on to a certain degree. I don't remember. Did not go that far. Could be wrong. Could be imagining it. But we do get, like, a canon.
Milk is in it, so it's inherently a little sapphic.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. But in the Lao one, we do, for a fact, like, there's literal kissing, maybe one or two, like, literally of two of the F4 members getting together. Because, like, you have the standard, the one that falls with the lead, for the female lead, and the other one, the second male lead. But it's the two that remain, that end up, I was going to say end up fucking, like, I didn't want to say that.
Oh, you stress me out beyond belief.
Sorry. I don't think we get that graphic because it is a Lao one, and I don't feel like they've reached that level because we don't get a lot of shows from them. I've tried to find more from them. But back to that.
Circling back.
So technically, the Lao one might fall underneath here due to the couple thing. More so. It's just not a big element. It's big enough, I feel like, to fall under here. Almost. But the rest of the remakes
are definitely more beat by beat.
More so. I mean, from what I can recall, I do think F4 Thailand takes the F4 thing to an extreme level, especially in the very beginning with the red card thing. Because I can't remember if that happens in the Korean one. Like, I think it does. Like, I think it's still there. I just don't think it was that bad. Like, I know it was the sense like, oh, if we target someone, everyone will target kind of thing. But I don't think it was like, oh, it's a game kind of thing.
Yeah, that was wild.
That was wild. But to be fair, I also just I got further, ironically, that I can remember in the F4 Thailand than I had in any of the others. Or if I got far into...
Fourth is also in it, which is wild. As the little brother.
can't remember any more on top of my head at this very moment. I know of other stuff that are similar, but not, I don't think they were remakes per se.
Circling back to before we tangent off, um, like when Nyxi was up, she sat both me and her mother down,
Oh yeah, I forgot you were
held
telling a
us.
story. I'm so bad. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
it's okay. I'm used
I'm
to it.
telling you, someone's one day is going to make a comment and be like, these two are really just the representation of ADHD and autism having to have a conversation. I'm telling you, it really shows.
And she was like, "We're at least watching this one episode." She made me close my eyes as she pulled it up to, just ensure that, like, even if I, like, had heard about it, that, like, I wouldn't know what was coming at me, which is, A, just terrifying, but I oblige. So, like, she finally pulls it up, gets it situated, allows me to have sight, and starts playing it. And she's like, "When you notice something, say something." It's so funny to me. Because, like, within, like, the first, like, couple minutes, I just turn to her and I go, "Is this W?
Girl,
Is this, like, Thai W?"
you say it was a few minutes. No, you dead ass saw the first scene where she flashes into the bathroom and is panicking because all the other people are running in and immediately it was like, "Is this Ty W?" And I was like, "What the heck?" I at least thought it would take until we got to the rooftop and seeing him like covered in blood and her fixing to stab him in the throat that you were gonna realize.
What can I say? It's an iconic bathroom. Like, the vibes were so there, and what makes it even funnier to me is that, like, at one point, like, I said a few minutes, it was mere seconds
Mm-hmm.
into it that I turned to Nyxi and was like, "Ty W?" Her mother did not hear me.
Mm-mm.
We're having a whole conversation about it,
Mm-mm. She was
and it
zoned
takes
out.
this lovely woman to, like, the end of the episode to be like, "This seems familiar." And we're just like, "Yeah." It was so funny. She's so precious. I love her.
She was like, "Yeah, it should be W. Do you remember that?"
And she's like, "No."
We're like, "Yes." I think she was excited to find out about that. I don't know if she's ever picked it up because, like I said, she has a hard time. She says she has a hard time watching new series because she's like me in this type of like I think she likes rewatching stuff she's already seen because she knows what's gonna happen. Versus if it's something new, she's like me and it's like I've gotta binge it, like I've gotta watch it as quick as possible because it's like I gotta know what happens next. But she can't afford to do that because of work, and she's like I can't stay up all night. I can't be like put everything down just to watch it, and so she doesn't get to, unfortunately. But yeah, there's more series to this, but I know I've seen a lot, but I guess I haven't seen enough to be able to like add more to this particular section that comes to the competition of something like the remake of W in the Thailand version.
Finally, our third focus is our wish list. This is where we highlight the significance and understanding the deeper layers of remakes. There are so many good ones we could talk about.
There's a lot of good ones, and there's two ways you can view this, and that's either ones you want to watch and ones you want to see be done. We've said it
Be
before,
made,
we'll
yeah,
say it again. I want to see Color Rush redone. I want to see what would happen if Thailand took it.
absolutely. I still have not watched the Thai Cherry Magic, and I need to really badly.
Why did I forget about that one? That one's so freaking cute. Why didn't you remind me to bring that up? Oh my god, I watched way more remakes than I remember now. Then I watched 4. I said I watched technically 2. An attempt to watch 3. Did not make it through the third one. I watched 4. I did way more research than I remember doing.
I forgot my mix-up Love Thailand,
That's sad, actually. How dare you?
which is devastating because I love my mix-up. Love the like Japanese version. It's one of my favorites. Adore the Thai remake of it, but forgot it, which is unfortunate. Like I only like remembered it after like reminding myself that like, oh yeah, I haven't watched the Thai cherry magic, so that was devastating for me personally, just internally. If we shift focus to, you know, wish list in terms of we would love to see these remakes be made, top of the list, Mr. Merman. Anyone, anytime, by
Yes!
anything, any country, just more.
Fucking
Give me more.
yes! Anytime, anywhere, please, a remake of Mr. Merman. And please, if you change
Keep the
anything,
lore.
honestly, well, I was gonna say, if you, I think your only excuse to change anything that comes down to, like how mermaids work and stuff like that, it has to help and actually make sense.
Mhm.
Because so far, that is my favorite series that best explains the existence of
Yes,
mermaids
I
and
agree.
mermen and merpeople. Maybe rephrase that. Because, like, oh my god, I'm so obsessed with that series. Like, you don't understand. Because, like, I don't get me wrong, I love H2O. I have rewatched that thing over and over and over. Mako Mermaids over and over and over. Like, I just love mermaid stuff. I'm sorry. I'll admit, I love mermaid stuff. But Mr. Merman, the way they tell you how people that they exist makes way more sense
Mhm.
than H2O's any water turns them into a mermaid and they have powers, which I love the magical element. Like I said, I love that series too. But Mr. Merman not only tells you how they age every 10 years is technically a year to a human. So a lot of the characters were like, for them to be 20, they were 220. Or how one of them was like what he was fixing to turn 18 or something like
Yeah,
that.
plankton.
So he was 100 in like essentially 18. No, 180. Sorry, my bad. Did the math
Bad
wrong.
math.
So every 10 years they give you how they work age-wise. They also so there's no powers. They give them a more biology like base to them. They explain that their blood is blue because like horseshoe crabs, that's what allows them to live forever because it's like something to do with like how that works. Like the
Mhm.
blood, just something about it, cuz like horseshoe crabs can live for such a long time. And there's a in this one, I don't 100% know scientifically wise. It's a belief because of the blood, like it's just different from like normal like red blood, whatever. Like it's something that nutrients in it is just very different. Um, their growth rate is a lot slower because, like I said, 10 years. They only turn into mer people if they touch
Salt
salt
water.
water,
Yes.
which makes
Yeah.
sense because they are saltwater fish. Two, they have what's called allergies, and almost all the allergies are make sense. Actually, I think all of them did that I know of. And they were always usually provoked, maybe a hormone. Most of the time, it was hormone, because or
Or
allergies, like anything which like a
like a
typical allergy.
stress type of thing.
Exactly. Because, like, for example, Plankton, because like it was three mermen. It was Plankton, Payu, and Tale. I love this series so much that I remember everyone's name. Okay, you don't understand. So Plankton, he straight up just regular allergies, but like he had gotten better at to the point like because like his allergies, like what triggers his mermaid thing without water is like if he sneezes too heavily, that triggers it. But like he has mastered that ability for the most part. Like he did a few
Yeah.
times lose that. But then you have Payu, which was flashing like bright lights, which makes sense actually because like stigmatism stuff like that. Just sometimes flashlight can you blind it, whatever, and that triggers his. Or Tale's. He was a little. His was a little bit more of like an arousal kind of thing. Low key, low
High
key.
key. High
You'd
key.
have to watch that one.
That's
High
exactly what
key.
it was.
You'd have to watch that. You'd have to watch that, okay, to understand what we're talking about. And then we get Fafa, which she gets turned into a mermaid, and she's the only other one we have an example for. And hers was sudden
Mhm.
fright, like you scared her, she would turn. And I'm obsessed with that. The only thing that did not make sense to me was how they got rid of their allergies, which was that special moon, whatever, kind of like Make a Mermaid kind of level style, thing. That is the only thing that they did that did not make sense. If you think about it, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but you have to like have some leeway of like there's a saying of like and like I'm missing the first word of like blank of disbelief.
Mhm.
It bugs me that I can't remember the phrase, but like it's essentially like there's like in a lot of fantasy it's best to like have as much of it like grounded in reality, but there's always going to be that space that like you can't quite explain away. So you just have to accept it for what it is.
And that was like the only time we had to accept something for what it is. But to be fair, that could also just be rooted that we're both girlies who love having an
Mhm.
explanation. Clearly, after all these episodes, you've got to have picked up that we love it when a series has that explanation behind reasoning behind things. Um, and so that's why I liked that one so much, is because they scientifically, even if it's not accurately, it is in common, like,
Yeah.
school knowledge, you know what I'm saying? That it
Mhm.
seems like it would make enough sense to fly by under the radar,
100% agree.
even if it's not put to test wise. Oh, one more thing. Another thing I was obsessed with in this series is that, yes, like Mako Mermaids and H2O, we do have the mermaids are orange,
Mhm.
they're like goldfish, and then um mermans are blue, like, like they blend into the water, which in nature makes sense a lot of the times, because a lot of times, I don't know why, but females tend to be more boring colors, and like orange is not necessarily boring, it's still bright, but it's like there's no patterns usually, because like there's no need for it, because in nature females don't have to try to attract males, it's males that have to attract females. So a lot of the times the patterns are on males so that they attract, but at the same time, in the course of nature, they can't be so distracting, they can get themselves killed. So blue, while pattern to attract, is also enough to like create camouflage. Um so I like that aspect, but what I love even more is that, unlike Mako Mermaid, and I'm going to say Mako Mermaid specifically because it's the only one that had mermen and mermaids, all the tails were the exact same. And like traditional mermaid stuff, the tails just abruptly stop at the waist. In Mr. Merman, it does a gradual thing where it goes from scales to skin, which, to be fair, you kind of can tell a little bit where the silicone runs into their actual skin because the tones weren't
But they
exactly
try.
accurate. But at the same time, it still made sense. Oh, they did. But I mean, at the same time, you could also take it as it's lighter there just naturally as it's transitioning. So, like, kind of still worked out to a certain degree. But two, so like it just looked more natural that way. It looked more like a growth. And two, the men, we don't know about the females because Fafa is technically the only one, but men wise, we can use them as the biggest example, all have different patterns. I think the only time that the patterns got similar was like when we saw that doctor one and he got pushed into the water and whatnot, because I think it looked like they used the
Yeah.
same tail Tally had on him, because it was the same exact patterns as Tally, which was like almost like a tiger stripes. And I was like, this looks like his tail. Ironically, I think I can remember everyone's tails.
I would not be surprised.
Because if I remember correctly, Tally had tiger stripes. Payu had almost like, what was that? What's not checker?
Chevron?
He almost had like a chevron like style to him, if I remember correctly. And I think Plankton, not quite like it was chevron, but it was like a lot more like that. And then if I remember correctly, Plankton had like almost like, I don't even say leopard or whatever, but he was more like polka
Spotted.
dotted kind of style, like, kind of thing. Yeah, he was more spotted. And I'd love to fact check that later after this and see how accurate or inaccurate that was. But I'm pretty sure that's accurate. You know what? I need to rewatch Mr. Merman. I don't rewatch stuff, but I'd so be down for it.
Honestly, same. And I do reread
I feel bad that we always recommend Mr. Mermaid and stuff, but it's so hard to find.
Sorry about that, guys.
It is such a difficult series to find, which is unfortunate for how good it is. Blame Channel 3, or at least blame them because I know it came from Channel
Blame the
3.
distribution of Channel 3
There
because
we
we
go.
love Channel 3. Channel 3 has very rarely like did us wrong. Very rarely.
Has occasionally, but most of the time, I love almost all the stories that come from Channel 3. A lot of my favorite Lahorns, non-BLs, and GLs were from Channel 3. I think my top, I don't know about Bride of Naga. I can't remember if that was Channel 3 or not, because that might have been, not 1D, but I think it was 1 something. I don't think it was Channel 3, but almost all my top 3 that I've seen are Channel 3s. We've broken everything down, and now it's time to put it all together. In this segment, we'll share our thoughts on remakes as a full constellation and reflect on its total impact.
Remakes are genuinely a really fun time, especially if you enjoy the original story.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for people who like don't like to rewatch things. I do not fall in this category, but Nyxi does. So she's watched a lot of remakes because it's kind of like you're getting to rewatch your favorite story, but it's different enough typically that it's doesn't align in the same like hesitation of like rewatching things does.
You know, I've never thought of it that way, but you're right. You're right. I rarely rewatch stuff, like rarely. I either have to be showing it to someone else to rewatch it, or like I have to really, really love the series, or it has to be short enough. You know, because sometimes short ones I can probably get down to rewatching for me to rewatch a series, no matter how much I love a series. But honestly, I'm just a sucker for just like I said before,
Mhm.
seeing things reimagined and like just remade. Like I said before, especially
Across and like different across cultures is really fun.
yes, it's so cool. I'm so fascinated with that, and it's just a really cool aspect when I see that happens. And just like that, the constellation is fully drawn. We thank you for joining us for this episode of Stars Align Dramas and Dreams podcast, where we meet amongst the stars that illuminate the love stories that light up our universe and connect us all.
If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe, and share your stardust and thoughts with us. We'd love to hear your comments, favorite moments, or suggestions for what we should explore next.
You can connect with us in the comments or through our socials, as well as our email that are linked in the description. Let's keep the conversation going under the stars.
Until next time, keep dreaming, keep listening, and remember, love always shines brightest in the cosmos.
Bye.